Hi, I'm Brendon Siino, and in this episode of What the Block, we will be covering the CSV Parser and CSV Writer blocks. We'll start by opening our data flow and going to the Table Operations section. You'll see here that the first two options are the CSV Parser and the CSV Writer blocks. Both of these blocks work with CSV data. CSV stands for comma-separated values. Let's begin with the CSV Writer. The CSV Writer takes the input of a table and outputs CSV data. The CSV Parser, on the other hand, takes an input of CSV data and outputs a table. So to use the CSV Writer block, we'll start by grabbing a table. And this standard table looks like this with 3 columns and 3 rows. We'll bind this table to the input of our CSV Writer block, and you'll see right away we get CSV data as an output. If we are to use the with header flag and set that to true, we'll see that our headers, V1, V2, and V3, are now included in the output of our CSV data. The CSV Parser block can be used with this output we have just created from the CSV Writer. Being that this is CSV data, we can input it directly to the CSV Parser block. We'll turn on our with header flag so that we can see our V1, V2, and V3 columns. And we'll see that our output table looks identical to the table that we used as our input for our CSV Writer. The CSV Parser block can be extremely handy when working with Excel data. Here, I've created a simple Excel sheet that we will export and import into DGlogik, and then use that data within our project. So to use this, we start by going to File, Save As. We'll set our file format to CSV, and we will save it. We can then upload our CSV file to our assets here. And you'll notice that we have our document from Excel as a CSV down here within this file. We can use a string loader block, which we cover in other videos, to take this path and load the data. Here you see we now have our output of our Excel as a CSV, which we can then input to our CSV Parser. We have now taken our CSV data that we've taken from Excel and turned it into a table that we can now use within DGlogik.